Jeffrey Fischer, who's a retired US Air Force colonel and international security expert, and who's joining us live from Vienna. We've been talking over the past few weeks about the risk to Ukraine with it going into Russia at the same time as it facing that intense pressure on the Eastern Front. How do you assess where the war is at right now and who has the upper hand?
Yeah, so Charlotte, that's a great question, right? I think there's not a real clear answer, right? You've got Ukraine taking a significant risk into going into Kursk and moving, and they've covered a lot of ground. Russia has been able to shore up their defenses and slow that advance, but for Ukraine to actually take that offensive and go into Kursk, they had to give up some of their security and some of their defensive lines down in that eastern front that you and your previous the previous gentleman who was speaking had mentioned. So it's tough to figure out who's winning right now. What is very clear is the air war or the air campaign of lobbing missiles at each nation is significantly increasing. Right now, Ukraine has a challenge with that because the U.S. administration has put some political limitations on how far and with what weapons Ukraine can actually strike into Russia.
And we've been hearing just in the last hour, Zelensky asking the Canadian leader, Justin Trudeau, and other Western partners to, back an okay for strikes deeper into Russian territory. You're obviously with an Air Force background. Would that yield significant benefits, do you think, for Ukraine?
Absolutely, 100%, right? And the reason is quite simple. It's extremely hard for Ukraine to stop the drones or the bombers with the bombs falling once they're in the air. But if they can actually, mitigate that risk or eliminate that risk while it's on the ground, strike the bases where the bombers are taking off from, strike the missile launchers and stuff like that, you can eliminate that kill chain at its very first points, right? So it's significant, and there are rumors and rumblings out of Washington D.C. right now that the United States is fairly close to approving JASSM, which is a long-range strike missile, cruise missile, for Ukrainian use. What's not clear, however, is what limitations the Biden administration would put on that.
Okay, interesting. And Jeffrey, the Ukraine arms chief and two other ministers have also tendered resignations. Do you think that's significant in telling us about the feeling of where this war is going, or what insights do you think that gives into what's going on?
Yeah, that's a great question, and unfortunately, we just don't know enough about it. I think it was just a few days ago where we learned that that Moonfish, the F-16 pilot, was tragically killed in an accident or some kind of combat operation. It was not due to Russia. The very day after that, you heard that Zelensky had demanded and terminated the air chief from continuing, and we don't know all the details around that either. These resignations could be the potential where President Zelensky is just not pleased with where the war is going with his leadership. I would say this: I wouldn't read too much into the sacking of generals. As a war historian, I probably couldn't count how many generals President Abraham Lincoln went through during the Civil War. So I think that this, if you're not happy as a leader, you have to take some kind of action and put the generals in place that you want to have there.
Okay, Jeffrey Fischer, thank you so much for joining us on the News Hour. Appreciate it.